Hi, I'm Matt Gibson with Sounds Like Beer, and today we're in Burlington, Ontario to talk to John Romano, co-founder of NickelBrook Brewing, about how he went from aerospace engineer to world-class brewer. Let's head inside. So thanks for having us, John. I wanted to start by just asking, when you think of the word craft beer, like what is
Okay,
craft?
first of all, I have a problem already. We don't even have a beer in our hands.
We can get a beer if you
What
want.
the hell is with this? I know it's 9 o'clock in the morning, but you got to start drinking sometime.
We can get a beer. What does the phrase craft beer mean to you? When someone says, I'm a craft brewer, what does that mean?
I think the word, well, to me, the word craft in any aspect is more of an artisanal approach to how you're making anything. You care about the ingredients you're using. You care about the water you're using, all the sources to make whatever you're making.
Right. And so you started in the aerospace industry originally. How did you get from there to craft beer?
So at the age of 27, I was traveling a lot and became very unhappy with that. I was not home a lot. At 27, walked up to my boss of 12 years and quit. I was a home brewer, making wine with my dad and making beer with my brother Peter. So we decided to quit and open up a homebrew store. And in 1993, we started Better Bitters Brewing Company, which was here in Burlington, and we were a homebrew store. And within a year and a half, 2 years, we became the largest homebrewing store in the province, second in Canada. We had a staff of almost 20. We were doing full mash beers, we were doing malt extract beers. Jeff, one of our first employees, and Scott, we were brewing from morning into the night. And it was crazy the amount of beer we're doing. We were doing 20, 30 batches of beer a day, and doing full mash was very time consuming. So a little brewery closed in Ottawa. We found out about it. It was on Bank Street, and it was a brew pub. We went to go take a look at it. We bought all the equipment, moved it to Burlington, and we were going to basically build a plant to make wort for us to supply ourselves.
Right.
In the midst of building the brewery, who on earth would have seen any prices drop in beer? 24 for 24 surfaced.
Right.
Beer Wars in lovely Lakeport with Teresa. And ironically, that is where our new facility is. So it really destroyed the homebrewing sector. So we decided to become a craft brewery.
Right.
And we started off making beer that our friends liked. We wanted everybody to love us.
Right.
So we made a Pilsner and a lager and a nut brown ale. And we quickly found out there's no money in making beer that your friends like.
Because everyone's drinking it all.
And they want it for free.
Yeah.
Or, John, did you bring any beer? Where's the keg? Did you bring keg this time? My nickname was Johnny Keg. And, you quickly find that it's a tougher racket than you think it is. But no one wanted to buy our beer. Like, you go to bars and stuff, and they go, John, sorry, I love you, but, we've got relationships built already in that department.
And at that point, sorry to interrupt, but at that point, had you sort of started thinking in terms of that craft ethos, in terms of that all-natural, high-quality ingredients? Or
we
at
were
that point,
doing that, but it was more traditional-style beers.
Okay.
And then Charlotte, one of our sales reps, comes up to me 8, 9 years ago, maybe 7 years ago, and says, why don't we make a gluten-free beer? It's always sold out, and it's $18 a six-pack. And I'm like, what? So go buy a six-pack of it. I couldn't believe how bad it was. So I started, playing with sorghum and buckwheat and all this stuff, and it was turning out pretty bad. It's not an easy thing to do. So I engaged one of our junior brewers at the time, Ryan Morrow. Now he's our most senior brewer, and the two of us put our heads together and slowly formulated that. And then another success story. Harold had gone to Germany after working for us for about a year, and came back with all these fruit beers. And he's like, we got to make a fruit beer. And I'm like, Harold, I don't want to make a fruit beer. You don't put fruit in your beer in North America. Like, maybe in Germany you do, but oh no, we got to try it. So we made a bunch of different batches, blood orange, peach, and apple. And the apple was pretty good. And I brought it to Hamilton Food and Drink, and it was a big hit.
Yeah.
Brought samples down to the LCBO. They loved it. So those two beers started to give us some traction, momentum, and we were able to start paying the bills.
When does Headstock start coming into the
So
picture?
Headstock came in after that. Mark's, one of our junior brewers at the time, said, hey, why don't we make an IPA? And I said, hey, let's do it. Go buy, half a dozen IPAs you like. And we sat down at the table, me, Mark, and Ryan, and, I profiled them all, made notes, and I said, I love the aromas coming off this. I love the hop citrus coming off this. I love the color, and body of this one. And they kind of put it all together from the notes we had discussed. And Mark took Headstock to American Brewing Awards, and it took a gold.
Wow.
For a pale ale. That was maybe 5-6 years ago. And it was funny, we'd go to beer events like Ontario Brewing Awards, and Peter and I would get mocked because we were making a gluten-free beer and an apple beer, and it was kind of outside of the box, and they weren't real considered beers.
I was going to say not real beers, quote unquote.
And then Headstock kind of turned some heads. It's like, oh, these guys can make some real beer, I guess, in Burlington, Ontario. And then we came out with our first batch of cuvee, which was only 4,000 bottles, and I begged and begged and begged the LCBO to give me the listing. They said, no, it's only 4,000 bottles, don't want to do it, and I kept bugging him and bugging him. James was the beer guy then, and he finally broke down and said, okay, fine.
Yeah.
So we launched cuvee, this is about 5 years ago, sold 4,000 bottles in 4 days.
Wow.
And went, oh my God. We started with 6 barrels, then about 40 barrels. Now NickelBrook has about 580 barrels.
I was going to say we're sitting in a bunch of them.
Yeah, we've got about 280 in Hamilton and about close to 300 here in Burlington.
So you started with these sort of non-traditional craft beers, and then now, I mean, you're known for the Naughty Neighbor American Pale Ale, the Headstock IPA, Cause and Effect Blonde. These are more, not traditional beers, but more in line with what's really popular in the craft movement. And now you're starting to do a lot of these amazing barrel-aged stuff. So what is it that sort of drives you to try these new things? What is sort of your brewing ethos, that your brewing mantra or whatever?
I think I'm very hyper, and
I've noticed.
And I hate stagnant, right? So I love to change. I'll bitch about it all the time that Peter will complain about it too. We got too many beers, too many SKUs, but that's what's happened to craft. Like the day of I only drink Budweiser, I only drink Canadian are over.
I was just going to ask you what's like the biggest challenge of running a brewery, but it sounds like every day is the biggest challenge of running a brewery.
It's becoming a logistical, I'm going to say nightmare, but it's become challenging logistically. There's so many moving parts. There's so many living cells. These barrels are alive. Mm-hmm. We have a boiler in the building that's creating steam. We're boiling water. We've got beers being fermented. We're dealing with bacterias now. And then you've got the 6-packs and the 4-packs. Cans. Everybody's gone into a can. There was a can shortage. We're 12 years into NickelBrook. Last summer, there was a week I could not get cans. There was a week, 2 weeks ago, I could not get cans. Everybody's gone in the can direction, and there's only a handful, if that. There's maybe 3 suppliers that produce cans in North America. And these guys are going full tilt. And it's been hops. Like a couple of years ago, trying to source some of the great hops. Why is Headstock and Naughty such great beers? It's the hops that, we use.
So despite all of these headaches and issues, you guys are still one of the...
It's an addiction.
I was going to say, you're still one of the top Ontario breweries. You guys have been around for more than 10 years. People know you're a household name, at least in the beer world. Why do you keep doing it?
I said it, it's an addiction.
What do you think we should try?
Our Brett Pale Ale.
Yeah, we got that on tap?
We were in Ottawa a couple of weeks ago with our Ottawa rep, Jess, and we went bar hopping one night. And I have a sip here and there. I didn't have a couple of pints, chilling and grilling. And I was like, oh my God, this is a good beer. I was so proud of it. So I'm excited to... I'm working hard to get that listed right now.
For sure. Well, let's go
get
try
one.
All right.